Hello, this video is a daily vlog on the condition of muscle dystrophy. Now the reason why I'm bringing this up is because one of my members of family suffers with this condition. Yes, it is my sister. Now she was diagnosed with this up in Newcastle, where they actually use a mouse to find out what type of muscle dystrophy she's got, because there's quite a amount of different varieties of this disease. And what they do, they have a day where they get most of the people in the UK to gather up to find out what they have actually done on the research of this rare condition and what advances they have actually done. So this video is going to contain a lot of experts talking about the conditions, and obviously I'm not a medical person, so you can actually understand how it sounds like as well, because it is very amateur camera work I am doing as well. That's actually meaning that nobody isn't wired up with microphones or anything. It's actually just being done by my camera singly in a room, so the sound quality is going to be absolutely not really good at all. So yeah, it's amateur, camera work. So it is interestingly easily explained by the experts, because they are explaining it to other members of people with that condition, and people have brought family members and carers what have brought people in with that condition. So it's very easily explained and quite very interesting to watch. So this is an example.
Disorders, peripheral neuropathy, disease of the neuromuscular junction, muscular dystrophy, metabolic myopathy, congenital myopathy. Okay, anterior horn cell, give me an example. This is the anterior horn cell in the gray matrix backward. Example, polio. The incidence of polio has decreased dramatically thanks to the polio vaccine. Peripheral neuropathy, so the problem here is in the nerve, the peripheral nerve, could be disease of the neuromuscular junction, like here, example, myasthenia gravis, Lambert-Eaton myasthenic syndrome, etc. Muscular dystrophy include Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is today's topic. There is another one called Becker's muscular dystrophy, both of which are X-linked recessive, therefore they are commoner in males than females. Metabolic myopathy and congenital myopathies. Again, same things. Remember that the muscular dystrophies include Duchenne, Becker, Limb, Girdle, Emery Dreyfus, I'm so sorry, like an Egyptian god here. I apologize, I'm sorry. I would rather hang out with Emery than with Dreyfus. I'm so sorry. Congenital muscular dystrophy as well. So the problem could be in the spinal cord, in the peripheral nerve, in the neuromuscular junction, or in the throwing muscle. We have discussed the DMI in Duchenne muscular dystrophy in the previous video. It's an X-linked recessive disease, therefore it's common in boys, and David is a boy. XP 21.2.
Yes, as you can tell that it isn't going to be that very simple to watch this. Yes, I am using an example of a skeleton when we are talking about muscle dystrophy. Yeah, it's all to do with your muscles, but this is just a simple diagram of example what I need to show you, because they are showing us examples of diagrams on the muscle dystrophy itself, but unfortunately my excuse is my camera cannot focus on their TV monitor and it was just going blurry. So it's just more or less actually listening to the actual experts explaining stuff, and there won't be any images of showing any diagrams. So unfortunately it's that very amateur as well. So going to show you the actual footage of our journey actually getting there. Now my sister had to stop there overnight at a hotel and stop another overnight at the hotel when we were coming back, because that's how bad this condition she's got. So this is raw footage of this journey.
just, they don't bother if when you tell whether you're on board or...
Oh, really?
And Victoria are not very good either. Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
But this you should get problem.
So, as you can tell by the footage,
Welcome to this Trans-Pennine Express service to Newcastle.
oh, so it goes straight there?
Yeah, this one goes. It's the one on the way back we have to do a change
This
of
service will be calling at
Right.
Leeds, York,
during week.
Darlington, Durham
The direct.
and Newcastle.
Sorry, I'm on a train.
Will be Leeds.
That's why I'm jumping up and down. It's that building, no? Oh, there. Oh, I know what that is.
Train is fitted with CCTV. Please keep your belongings with you or inside at all times. If you notice anything suspicious, please speak to a member of staff or text the British Transport Police
Wait a minute,
on
I missed that.
601.
Sorry, I'm so busy nosing out.
We say it and we'll sort it.
Okay, right, I've seen Bullet Train, and she's suspicious.
For the benefit
I'm
of
suspicious.
safety,
Yeah, you're going to start crying, aren't you?
please keep the arms always free of luggage
Oh, yeah, that one.
She's a diesel.
So the whole thing are available for others to use.
Oh, I know, full think based on Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, psychology. Ooh, what a shot knot. It might be blurry. Oh no, the sister's getting off.
Right, I can't move forward obviously, so that's fine.
No. Cheers. red. So we're trying to find out second hotel. Yeah, they're stairs. They're stairs. They have a thing called stairs here, we've discovered.
The big white ones, so I know Dave and Scott can do them quite easily.
But you're not doing it, are you? No.
My hands are weak as well. That's
Well, yeah. Are you alright going down here without no assistance? Right. It's down here, actually.
my hands are on a rest
Yeah.
on the train. There we go.
Oh, you found it? Like, zebra crossing here. Oh! How are you going to get across? Right, because we've got a zebra crossing. So we're being diverted because of a curve.
I suppose on my own, I won't be able to do it anyway.
I ain't got an indoor mic on you, so you have to do your talk over that.
Okie doke.
Now she does have power wheel assist. across the road. Our hotel's up there. So I found that other hotel, and to give me a clue, it's got a car. A Bentley. Oh, it could be a Rolls Royce. Mercedes.
This is where we're staying tomorrow.
And we're not.
Oh, it literally is in the hotel.
Yeah,
I
just
thought you meant outside. I thought, where is it?
Oh. Somebody's parked it in there.
Right. Journey back to hotel to tonight.
Well, yeah, and it hasn't got a car, so we can complain.
Well, I don't know. It's changed its name, so you never know what's in there now. It's new.
Driving hotel.
Might not even be the same people that own it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I do apologise for shaky cam, but this is clearly something I'll have to.
You have to apologise
figure
for
out.
fat cam. My fat belly.
Right.
Alright.
Let's see if we can have a late lunch.
Alright.
Oh, probably more dinner time now.
Tea.
Leggy first.
we're in our room. We've found our first stain on the settee. Oh, you're joking. Okay.
Luckily neither one of us are sleeping on the same.
So this is where we're at. No, it's a painting. So we've got a TV here.
Probably weather stain on the settee.
I found the extra towels, a surfboard, oh it's an ironing board, and an iron. So they expect you to do your own ironing here.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
I know some have services like that, but
Oh, we're not that posh, you know. Right, and it's got a lovely Ken Abden's curve.
the way I see it is, my skin's not wrinkle free, so there's no point having the clothes wrinkle free.
Right, so I've got a lovely curvy bit here. This is curved, so so we've got Claire, and this is the process she has to go through. Me watching her get her shoes off, or slippers, or what back is. So,
When I get cute and stuff, you know they look like that, but these are the NHS shoes. Army slippers.
So.
Army slippers.
What I did, it might have gone blurry a bit, but these are our beds. She's got a dressing table. We can have some biscuits, but I think you have to pay for them. Alright. Right, so we've got our safety jumping out at window glass. So it's double glazed. We've got a statue there, we'll have to film that. Normally, so yeah, shut curtain. As you said, train station is literally across outside. So I'm in the hotel. Little sis has gone hiding. She's looking at the ironing board, everyone. Ironing board inspecting.
There is no point having wrinkle-free clothes if I'm not wrinkle-free.
Right, she's been sarcastic.
Not really.
No, okay. You've gone blurry again.
Ooh, slippers.
Oh, you get slippers?
Yeah.
Oh, I might put them on.
Hello, everyone.
My sister's doing another video and I'm going to wear some quality. I've gone blurry, haven't I? Hotel slippers, my backies, get me boots off and all that lot. So behind me is Newcastle. Should.
Sorry, I've just got a view of your slippers.
Oh.
Complimentary slippers. Yep, here we go again.
So we do have many problems.
Obviously,
Bed too high.
on the rims, so I've got to use.
Don't forget, my sister can't jump out of that thing. And
Yeah, you see how high this bed is? I don't know how I'm going to get up there. It'll be easy for getting out of, but heaven forbid.
I'm going to feel like that episode of Frank Spencer when he starts altering out furniture.
Yeah.
And there's a great big hole in ceiling next doors.
Just keep hoping that it's like double. 2 double mattresses for it. I might actually. They said ring for anything. Just might ask. Body dump.
You will not believe the situation we're in.
Oh gosh, yeah. Don't film me.
I'll see my poor sister on the bleeding floor in a hotel.
Yeah.
We tried to sort all sorts to get her on this bed.
I mean, the staff here have been amazing. I just really feel.
Yeah, they threw her on the floor. Right? You know, so no, they didn't.
Yeah, I think it's a problem everywhere. I think they should have profile beds for disabled people to avoid all this. Because I bet the beds are about the same price.
Oh yeah.
Because let's face it, you just get a little single one. You don't have to get an expensive double. I don't know why the double ones are so expensive. Because my OT was actually relieved when me and Daz broke up because I was trying to get a double one out of there.
Right, So she's made herself a bit lighter. That jumper is...
Well, it's not just that. I know it don't look like it because I'm not putting the effort in, but I am trying and it's making me sweat.
I gather it's been a long time you've sat on the floor, hasn't it?
Gosh, yeah. Oh, last time I was on the floor, I was with Sandra trying to get up on my settee. And that's when I discovered I don't even have the ability to crawl anymore.
No.
And I found out the worst possible point. But I did eventually manage to get on the settee, but it's because it was quite low down. And that was way over a year ago, which I think I've changed a lot this past year. It's like now that wheelchair is for 5 years, and already my feet and everything are falling off because I'm getting weaker. Which is a shame. It really is. But I think this experience has got me thinking, actually.
It's a danger.
Well, I might try and apply for mobility scheme because you can get wheelchairs what can go up and down 12 inches.
Well, yeah.
And it means losing a big chunk and not being able to have a vehicle, but
Well, you've got
you've
mine.
got
haven't you?
yours, so it covers it, and then you're not having to struggle so much. Come on.
Notice. It's like his fruit cover on it. You feel that cover on it. Well,
You
then
can't sort of blame him because they'll be like thinking,
you
oh
cheeky.
gosh, they might be thinking we're trying to set up something like they're doing a merry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I'm just genuinely trying
And
to
he's
get
like, oh, thank you, but because I'm thinking of Frank Spencer again. I'll have to lend them to her and she gets to that bread and breakfast one.
Yeah.
And the guest is actually screaming because he's making wardrobe. It just makes it worse.
Well, that's every episode we've been, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No matter what situation, it always made it worse.
That's the view out of our window. Hotel. And yeah, it's getting late. It would have been panic stations. I walked at the train station one, and it's 9 o'clock.
You what?
So you've got all your packing to do. Last shot of our room. We will get our deposit because of the destruction of them cushions. I mean, look at that. I had to build a fortress.
I literally had to wreck a duvet. A divan bed.
We built a fortress and we had a pillow fight and everything. And Claire was running around everywhere and stuff and that. Oh yeah, we'll have a weird look at the shower room. 'Cause I didn't do this. Yeah, that's the quality of the toilet. I didn't have a shower, so I stink.
Oh yeah,
That's me. Hello. Right. What film? A soggy sock.
Sorry. But yeah, I can't go under the sink and reach it well.
Oh yeah, well.
Because you've got to be sideways.
Alright.
Because they've got a big finger in the way. But you've no choice but to get as close as you can.
So-
Which isn't ideal
Not ideal.
having an electric wheelchair. Yeah. Oh, and then obviously we've got a little ramp in and out of the wet room. I can't tell them to you.
Patient engagement, I specifically studied people living with muscular dystrophy. So we're actually very excited to be able to do this after a long time of not meeting with people. And so, first of all, I'll introduce myself actually. My name is Karen Marie Biffle. I'm a consultant with the John Walker Muscular Dystrophy Research Centre in Newcastle for that kind of service. And today we meet
Recording in progress.
many other colleagues with more informal discussion, question and answer. And so today really is for you and engaging with people living with limb-girdle muscular dystrophies. So that is to give you an update on where we are with diagnosis, care aspects, clinical trials, therapy and research. And also understand, hear your thoughts and understand how we can make, improve things. And continue to do these book events. So that's one of the first one in a while. And we hope to continue these groups of issues. Be honest and give us your feedback as well so that we can continue to do these events and improve them as well. So I'll go through the agenda. And we have some housekeeping. Oh, housekeeping. Let's do housekeeping first.
Morning guys, you all okay?
Yeah.
Hope you had a good night's stay. Just in case there is a fire in the building, we've got evacuation areas on both sides of the corridor. If you're in a mobility scooter or a wheelchair, we've got refuge areas where we can push you guys until the fire brigade has arrived, which will help you down the stairs as well. Okay. All the facilities are just behind us in the corridor there. Have a great day, guys. No problem. Thank you.
Is it? I thought it's a bit cold in the room.
Yes. It's a little bit warmer.
Yes, please. The agenda in a second, and then also an update from Muscular Dystrophy UK. The afternoon after lunch, actually, before we break out for lunch, it would be great if we could take some pictures of today's event. So whilst we are all in this room, I think it's probably ideal that before we move out for lunch, take a picture. And would it be okay if we took pictures throughout the day, or if anyone doesn't want pictures taken, please do let me or the know that you don't want to take pictures taken, and then we would probably tweet it, but also put it on our website if you're in agreement with it. And afternoon, we will break this room into two and split you two groups, and then do the two breakout sessions, one on standard of care and the other one on research and diagnostic aspect. But we will swap then, so we will repeat it twice. So, and rather than asking people to swap, we will swap, the speakers will swap, so you stay in the same room. And then there is also a parallel focus group run by Meredith for people with dystrophy. And I believe some people may have signed up to it, and that's running in a separate room down
it's the last room on the left. So thank you for our COS participants who are here from old days and more recently. If you are happy, I would love the opportunity to chat through with you between 1:30 and 2:30 instead of going to one of the first breakout sessions, and that's in the room down the end on the left. And then after the coffee break, then you can join one of the other sessions, and then anything you miss, we can follow up with and talk through. So if anyone's been in the COS study, which is for limb-girdle 2B, I see some very familiar faces around the room. It'd be lovely to see you and have a catch-up at 1:30.
Excellent. And throughout lunch, you will also have the opportunity to look at some posters that are actually thanking Ollie, one of our medical students who wrote those posters and put them together in a lay version, so accessible. So they are on the wall and look at them throughout lunch. And then we will close by 4:30, allowing everyone, if you need to cut your train, and I need your feedback and close of the day. And also have a few more slides. Yeah, I'd like to thank our supporters, the sponsors for today. We have the Jane Foundation, who, I don't know, Heather, you wanted to, you don't have voices. No, it's my voice there. Jane Foundation, so we have several sponsors for today's event. One is the Jane Foundation, we have ML Biosolution, and there will be a stand in the mezzanine area. We have support from our highly specialised service. And then we have also the presence of Phoenix Art.
Heather, do you want me to do that?
It might be better.
Stay there.
You do that.
Apologies, everyone. It was working.
It was
an hour
working.
ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'll give you an overview on how we work integrated across the different strands.
Recording in progress.
So first of all, just a brief overview of our service. So we run a regional service across North East and Cumbria. That is a pediatric and adult service, all patient with muscular dystrophy and myopathy. And then we have a national service, a highly specialized service, specifically dedicated for people with limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, which is a nationally commissioned service. And many of you have come to our clinic or have a sample, a muscle biopsy or DNA sample has been sent as part of that service to us to keep it. And our service covers both all ages from pediatric to adult, for little children.
Thanks. Nice to hear your voice, Robert.
Whereabouts is he?
Joining remotely from Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Okay. Screen share. Screen. That one.
Even if it's like this,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. And go into screen sharing. It's not on the display settings, but it's playing silly buggers. So if I just close PowerPoint and come back into it. Can you sign back into the Zoom meeting? Maybe two people up on the Zoom as well.
Yeah, so we have a few people that have joined remotely.
Felix Arts. We're based in North Tyneside. We work regionally and nationally and very soon internationally as well. One of the things that we do is that, you know, we don't work in gallery settings, we don't work in the general art settings. We work with people from all walks of life in all settings. One of the benefits that we find that arts can bring is mindfulness, mental health. Also at events like this, you know, changing the discussion and, you know, if today when we're talking, is there something that you could be doing with an artist the next time you meet that could lead the conversation in a different way, or maybe speed people up a little bit, make people feel a little bit more comfortable maybe. So one of the first things that we always do when we start a relationship like this is listen. We would never presume, just because we've worked in health settings before, we would never come here and say, oh well, we're going to give you poetry, like, you know, just because another group wanted that. So what I really want to do today is really speak to people and ask what, how and why would you like from us. I've got a sheet to kind of guide those answers. And anybody who says, oh, I can't draw, you have to give me £1. It is absolutely not about that, I promise. It can be the loosest kind of idea about it. It can be people reading together, discussing literature led by someone. It can be creating a shared song or experience. One of the things that kind of really fueled our work and fast-forwarded it, like a lot of organisations, was the pandemic, because we could instantly make everything remote. So we have social groups that meet online. Particularly, we've got a really strong one of carers that meet, who struggle to get away to come to a session in person. So the geography of that has now grown, and the artist leads the session. They meet every week, and they became a social art group. They still exhibit. We create online exhibitions with people. So it's not for everyone. I would never force arts and sit on anybody, but I would really love to come and chat to me at the desk if that's okay to do. Thank you. I'll leave it to you.
Okay, and then I'd like to thank particularly Jackie Brigham for coordinating this event. Heather was Greg's always in the background, but has been a strong presence and drive for this event. And sorry, I had a list on the slide, so I forgot my
Sorry, Carol, we're working on the tissue.
Michelle McCallum, and let me just think, who else I had listed. Well, first of all, thank you all of you for attending. Obviously, all of my colleagues at the Journal of Muscular Dystrophy Research Centre that make these type of events happen. In the small group of the high specialised service team, and also people within the wider directorate who also have helped support this event. Now, I think we are, is there any ready for you to move on to the first session and slides, but I'll just bear with me. There should be hopefully a thank you list. Yes, I forgot to mention actually Karen Pike was the one I wanted to do that, but who also has been working with Jackie to drive this event. Okay. So I think we can start with the first session, and I'll start giving you an overview on how we work integrated across all the different strands of the General Muscular Dystrophy Research Centre.
Recording in progress.
Thank you for Meredith and Meredith and Heather with me to get the slides. So we don't see them on the screen there. There we are.
Okay. Why are we doing such a tech issue?
Samples, DNA, or muscle biopsy to be used also for research purposes, because that is the only way of advancing research, understanding of the disease and treatment. So when it comes to clinic, obviously there's all of that care and monitoring aspect and prognosis, and we will provide an advice for your day-to-day. The diagnostic aspect, trying to achieve a diagnosis and give a name to what the underlying problem is. And that is also important because if we give it a name, we can then see is there a treatment or clinical trial available. If we don't achieve that, it's very difficult to be able to take on in any clinical trial. And you'll hear more in detail, I'm sure, about all of them, research activity, clinical trials, natural history studies that we do at the centre that help us understand the disease sector and then inform again care aspects. And we have a large networking team, patient registries, and also international collaborations that also help us understand that we're expected to have a better understanding of rare diseases, and that's only possible when you bring people together, also from outside. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
So to introduce myself, so I'm Lizzie Harris. I'm a clinical geneticist. I work with the team mainly in facilitating diagnosis for patients with LGMDs. Next slide. So I'm just going to talk about the importance of a genetic diagnosis. So start off by clarifying what we mean by a genetic diagnosis, and then expand a bit on why that matters. So without going into a lot of biology and details, I think we can probably all appreciate there's a difference between a diagnosis of something like asthma or a stroke or arthritis, where it's based on the kind of description of how that person is physically affected by their disease, compared to a genetic diagnosis where we're looking for a change really at the level of the DNA within the cell, a very precise change. So what is the gene that is affected, and then what is the exact genetic change that is affected. So when we talk about a genetic diagnosis, we mean finding the exact genetic change that is the underlying cause of that person's disorder. So this obviously involves genetic testing, and genetic testing has improved enormously over the last 10 years or so within a research setting, and now within the NHS as well. So previously we had to test genes one by one, just based on what we thought was most likely, looking at the person in front of us. And it could take years to get a diagnosis. But now we have something called genomic testing, and that really means just testing many genes all in one go. We're able to do that because there's been a big improvement in the technology, genetic testing technology we can use. So we do things called gene panels, where we look at a number of different genes. So in Newcastle we look at 80 different genes that can cause LGMDs and other similar conditions. That's our kind of first line test. And we can also do whole genome sequencing, where we look at all of a person's genes in one go to try and find the diagnosis. So initially, that sort of testing was only available in research, but we can now offer that within the NHS as part of the diagnostic testing service, so it's improved hugely. Back. So the good news is that the majority of people with LGMD do get a genetic diagnosis and the benefits that come with that, but we know that there are an important minority of patients where we don't get that diagnosis, and that is still a very active area of research. So to understand what difference that diagnosis makes, I thought we should probably go back in time to before we had genomic testing. I wouldn't have put so many clicks in if I'd known. Another click. 2008, so 15 years ago. So this is before we had all of this genomic testing, even in a research setting. So this is a fictional patient, but probably is typical in some respects of many of the patients with LGMD that we see in Newcastle. So Anna is a 37-year-old woman who works in a gym, and she's got 2 children, a son who's 4, a daughter who's 8. And she's been previously fit and well, but over the last 4 years, so in her 30s, she found some things like climbing the stairs, getting up out of a chair, increasingly difficult, and it was impacting her ability to do what she needed to do at work. So she thought she would look into that. And she doesn't have any family history, we were always interested in that, but her son was a little bit late learning to walk, learning to jump. So she went to her GP, who was referred her to a neurologist, who would have taken a history, examined her in a lot of detail, done some blood tests, including checking this protein in the blood called the CK, and arranged a muscle biopsy. And based on all of that assessment, she was told she most likely had a muscular dystrophy, but that this was a broad group of conditions. They were going to do some genetic testing to try to find out what the precise genetic diagnosis was. So because this was 15 years ago, that would have been one gene at a time. And at the end of that process, or perhaps after a number of years, we hadn't necessarily even come to the end of that process, but we were running out of genes that we thought could explain her presentation. We still hadn't identified the genetic diagnosis. So she was told she has a limb girdle muscular dystrophy, but we didn't know the exact underlying cause for that. So she kept patients like this to continue coming to our clinics every year. We'd still think about further genetic tests or other investigations to try to understand what's going on with them. They'd get their breathing checked regularly, annual heart checks, just because we wanted to cover all bases, because we didn't know the exact underlying cause. So although a diagnosis of an LGMD is a sort of a clinical diagnosis, we would think, rather than a genetic diagnosis, and it's helpful for talking to other health professionals and for being clear about, conditions that might present in a similar way that it isn't, she still had a number of questions. So I think foremost in lots of people that we see's minds is, what does it mean for their family? Her son, with his sort of slightly late, with some of his motor milestones to learning to walk and things, she was always concerned, is this something that he has as well, and how is that going to affect him? And she has a brother and a sister, so thinking, is this something that they're going to have? No one else in the family seems to be affected, but I've been fine up until now, so what does it mean for my family? And also just the feeling that she hadn't met anyone who had exactly the same condition that she had, and she would like to know, are there other people out there, and how are they affected? How are they, managing their lives, and what is the future going to hold for me? What's the people with my condition? How are they affected in 10 or 20 years' time? And although she kept going for these breathing and heart checks, and they were always fine, but she had this concern every time, what's the chance really of finding something there, and how concerned do I need to be about that? Are there any other problems I might develop? And she would love to know, even though she understood that for LGMDs there isn't a tablet you can take that's going to stop the disease. She would like to know whether people were doing research into that. Is that something that people were looking into? So without that genetic diagnosis, those questions remain. So fast forward to today, 15 years later. So it's a slight change in the way that people with this sort of presentation with an LGMD would get investigated because of the genomic testing being much more accessible and being so efficient, looking at so many genes in one go. So in this situation, she might not have a muscle biopsy straight away because we can go ahead and do the genetic testing instead. So she would have had the panel of 80 genes that we do in Newcastle, looking at all of the LGMD genes and then some more as well. And in this situation, 2 changes were found in this gene called anoctamin 5. And it's worth saying that 15 years ago, anoctamin 5 wasn't even known to be a cause of LGMD, so this sort of reflects that our knowledge has improved. And so she's given this diagnosis of limb-girdle muscular dystrophy R12 anoctamin 5 related, which is a bit of a mouthful, and it used to previously be called LGMD2L, but the LGMDs have undergone this change in the way that they're named to be a bit more systematic about it. So she has that precise genetic diagnosis. So just to go back to the questions that she had in her mind, so we can now tell her, what are the implications for her family. And this is a recessive condition, so the chance of her children being affected is very, very low. And we can also talk about what that means if she wanted to, for the rest of her family, conversations to have with her brother and sisters. And again, actually, this form of LGMD is one of the most common causes of LGMD in this part of the world, and so that's actually means there is a whole community of people that she could get in touch with and find out about, and sort of get the benefit of that support. And again, we can tell her about the chance of having heart or breathing problems related to that. So in this condition, it's unlikely that those would be sort of significantly affected. So that is reassuring to her as well. And again, thinking about research, so we could tell her more precisely about what research is going on and natural history studies and that sort of thing that might be coming up. So I hope this fictional patient journey illustrates sort of the impact that having that diagnosis and that more precise information can make for patients. And this picture is...
Apologies that later on in the videos they get better and they speak louder and they talk more intellectual about the facts and that, but I have a problem how I can extract my footage from my SD card. I put it on my PS4, and if anybody knows how to work the share factory, you're already limited of certain time. As you can see here, I've recorded over at least 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, unfortunately, how do I get this footage on? I will try to figure a way, but for the meantime, I'm going to be struggling a bit. And I did say it was very amateur, so apologies again.
Ooh, you suck!